Hello guys, welcome to the first video on this channel. In this video we are going to discuss the question max consecutive ones. This question has been repeatedly asked in Google and Meta Facebook interviews. The question goes something like this. You are given a binary array called nums and you want to return the maximum number of consecutive ones in the array. Maximum number of consecutive ones. Right, so we are given an example 1 1 0 1 1 1. So as you can see, there appears to be two sets of consecutive ones in this array. First appears in the first half, second appears in the latter half. In the first set, the consecutive ones in numbers are 2, right? So 2 ones appear consecutively, but in the second half, 3 ones appear consecutively. Hence, the output is 3. Now in example 2, we have 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. As can be seen, there is just one pair, or there is just one part where we get where 1 are in consecutive order, and that are 2 in numbers. Therefore, output is 2. So let us understand the logic behind this question and how to solve it. Right. So first we need to understand how we are going to solve this question. We are going to declare two variables called counter and max. We've declared two variables called counter and max, and we initialize it with an initial value of 0, both of them. The logic goes something like this. We start from the first element on the left hand side, so we go from left to right. This is a Leetcode easy question, and anybody who knows the array data structure or even the basics of it and knows basics of any of programming languages can be able to solve it. Right. So we traverse the array from left to right and we check each and every element. Right. So for example, we have a 1 here. So as soon as we encounter 1, we append the value or increase the value of count by 1. So by 1, this means that the existing value of count plus 1. Right. So initially it was 0. I'm sorry. Initially it was 0. So now it will become 1. Then we go on to the next element and we encounter a 0. Now as soon as we encounter a 0, we shall again equate the counter value to be 0. This is because we need to find the we need to find an order where ones are appearing consecutively. Hence counter variable is being used. When we encounter 0, this means that the chain has bricked and consecutive ones are not appearing, or the chain has been broken. Right. So so count value is again assigned to be 0. Then again we come here and we get a 1. So we do count plus 1, that gives us 0 plus 1, that is 1. And here comes the max element. Now max element, we shall define it to be initially it is 0, but max is the maximum. Max is the maximum of count or max. Right. So now on the third index or on the second index, we have our count value as 1, and max value will be the maximum of count or max, right? So we have max value as 0 here and count value as 1. So the maximum of 0 and 1 would be 1, right? We go to the next element and we have a 1 again. So what we do is that count is equals to count plus 1. So 1 plus 1 is gives us 2. So we have 2 and 1 now. So our value of count is 2, our value of max is 1. Max of these both gives us 2. Hence, the value of max would be appended to 2. We go to the next element and we get a 0. We go to the next element and we get a 0. What to do? So, whenever we encounter a 0, we have to reappend the value of count to 0 or reassign the value of count to 0. So 0 and 2. Which one is the max? 2 is the max, right? So but max now would be reassigned to 0 as well. Why, you ask? Because we are finding the maximum number of elements that are in consecutive order. We are finding the maximum number of elements that are in consecutive order. Hence, the value of max would also be appended to 0. Now we come to the next part. Hence, we get a 1. Or come to the next index, we get a 1. Hence, it is appended to 1. And this is also appended to 1. Then we go to the next index. We get a 2. Right? And this is also appended to a 2. Go to the next index, this is also right, and then it gets appended to 3 and this get appended to 3, right? So the max so now what we do is that we return the maximum of the variables of count or max, right? So now let us code our logic here, right? So first we would declare 3 variables. So we declare 3 variables: int I equals to 0, counter equals to 0, and maximum equals to 0. So these are the 3 variables that has been declared. I will be used for iteration purposes. Counter will be used for keeping a track of consecutive ones, and maximum would be used to keep a track of maximum consecutive ones, right? So we will declare a while loop, and while I, which has been initialized to 0, is less than the size of the nums array. So we used the nums.size. We use the nums.size. So while I is less than the size of nums array, if we encounter a 1, or if nums equals to 1, then we do a counter is equals to, or you could also write counter plus plus, but I prefer writing counter is equals to counter plus 1, and then maximum would be the max of counter and maximum. In the else part, we reassign the value of counter to be 0. And to finish off the while loop, we just do a I++. So what this code is basically doing is that until and unless, so basically we are running a while loop, right? We are running a while loop from left to right. So we have initially assigned I equals to 0, and till I is less than nums dot size, right? Nums dot size. What we are doing is I plus plus first of all, and we are checking if ri equals to 1, then what we do? Uh, then we do counter equals to counter plus 1, and we assign the value of maximum to be the maximum of counter or maximum, right? And else if the value of ri equals to 0, then what we do is that we reassign the value of counter to be 0, right? And there is an I plus plus to finish off the while loop. And what we do is in the ending is that we return maximum, right? So let us run this code, and it is accepted on the default test case, that is 110111. Let us just submit it so that we are sure that it has been accepted on all test cases. Right. So it was a success. We have successfully submitted this the answer to this question, and hope you guys have enjoyed this video and you have found this very informative. This question in interviews is actually not asked as a standalone question. This would be asked as as a primer question or a easy question where the interviewer wants to make you either comfortable with the environment or wants to or is setting a basic environment or a primer for a more difficult question that is to come. So my advice to you would be uh, to solve this question as quickly as possible, uh, because uh, uh, because this is quite easy, and yeah, let's meet in another video. Thanks for watching.